Hello, I'm AJ,
I'm Alex.
and this is NTV and New Tech Vintage Nerds. After a well-deserved vacation, we're going to do another episode of New Tech Vintage Nerds. And today we're going to talk about...
Our new 3D printer.
Oh, wow. Let's
Run the tune.
roll that intro. On the topic of 3D printers, what did you automate this week?
Well, nothing yet. I've had a serious round of stress with two of my Tuya devices. I actually own two Tuya devices. One is a infrared heater, and the other one is a ceiling fan. And they both have Tuya Wi-Fi. And as you probably know, you probably know, maybe the audience doesn't, but if it is a Wi-Fi on Tuya, it's cloud.
Yep.
Period. And if you want to have local control, you need to hack it. Unfortunately, my homie is not capable of doing that. So that's a bummer. And
what's the alternative then?
Exactly that. So yeah, I'm considering exclamation mark considering installing an instance of a home assistant to actually take care of this part.
Wow. Well, actually,
because what I would like to do with specifically the ceiling fan, and because it's summer, well, it's supposed according to the calendar, it's summer. I would like that ceiling fan to just come on automatically when it's 25 degrees centigrade in the living room, and that it just automatically starts. And right now, it doesn't do that. I mean, I got a wonderful app, but can't do anything with it.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious on your journey to home automation with Home Assistant.
Well, I know that Home Assistant and Homey actually do work together quite well, but I really didn't want to introduce a second home automation hub. But you know this because I forwarded the announcement to you. It was recently announced that my homie or the company that produces them at home, it actually was for 80% purchased by LG Electronics.
Yep.
Also known
Interesting.
also known as Lucky Gold Star, because that is what LG stands for. If you didn't know. So what that will bring to my home automation platform.
Yeah. Well, you can look to the LG TVs, and then you see some commercials on the front page. So perhaps it's going to ask you in the morning, well, you do want to turn on your fan, but would you like a commercial ad before that or after that? I mean, it's a possibility.
Exactly. How about you buy an air conditioning from LG? Here's our commercial. No, really, please don't. If that is going to happen, then I can tell you that Homey learns to fly very quickly.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what it brings.
Yeah. For now, the statement is that they will continue as is. We'll see. I hope they're right.
Me too, for your sake.
I'm a bit scared though.
Yeah. Well,
so what did you automate?
I did two things. I rewrote my whole screen and shades automation now that I have a outdoor sensor that has the brightness for the sun. So previously I automated it based on daylight and sunset and sunrise. Now I totally cut that out of the automation, and now it's just based on the brightness of the sun. So when it's darker than I believe 90 lux.
Oh, right. Okay, you've done it like that. Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
then the lights in the house turn on
Right.
when we're at home and the house is in day mode.
Yeah. That is the big tip here. Well, at least for mine, because I've been working with that Lux thing for 2 or 3 years now. It is important to define that you have a day mode, an evening mode, and a night mode.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, for instance, if now the sky is becoming gray and it's going to start to rain, or I don't know, thunderstorm or whatever, then it gets darker outside. Not dark, but darker.
Yep.
You want the lights to come on, but do you want the evening lights to come on, or do you want the daytime lights to come on? There is a difference, at least in my house, there's a difference because the color temperature is different.
Yep.
But also when the rainstorm has passed, and it becomes lighter again, you also want the lights to turn off again.
Yep.
Unless the house is in evening mode, because then you want to switch them to evening mode. And you don't want your lights to come on when it's night. That would be a strange experience. Like, what's going on? I'm asleep and everything is suddenly daylight bright. So I made a mistake to not define those different modes the house is in at the start. So I had some strange effects that for instance, the outside lighting is also steered by that. That the outside lighting was actually in evening mode when it was supposed to be in night mode, etc. So I had all kinds of strange effects because it wasn't clear what the mode was. So all the different scene settings were running through each other.
Oh, okay.
And if it was a normal day, right? If there was no rain, which is very seldom over here. When it was a normal day, everything was fine. But as soon as there was a deviation from the standard, then everything went mayhem. So definitely define your modes, and I've defined the daytime and evening and a night mode, because there is a difference between evening mode and night mode, and there's a difference between daytime and evening. So you really need those three, and you may even want to introduce a morning mode as well for your getting up and starting the day routines.
Yeah. Well, I don't have that much. For me, it's just I was just looking at day mode and a night mode. I don't differentiate between day and evening yet. And I also have a guest mode and a we're all gone mode.
Yeah. So
I'm not sure what I called that. Away mode.
The away mode, yeah. So the reason why I have a difference between an evening mode and a night mode is because, first of all, in the evening, the lights in my living room are on. The lights in the hallways are warm white. The lights outside, so the garden and front door lighting, is at full brightness, and everything is on. Also, the spotlights in the back of the garden, etc. In night mode, the lights in the living room are off. The lights in the hallways are on 10% blue, and the outdoor lighting, all the spotlights are off. All the external lights are off, except for the lights that are actually attached to the building, and those are on 25%.
Oh, okay.
And the specific reason for that is I don't want to annoy my neighbors with light pollution at 3 a.m.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So that was the reason why I made a very clear the separation between what is evening, when in the summer we may sit outside and enjoy the trees in the back of the garden being lit up and etc.
Yeah.
And when we all go to bed and there's nobody looking at the trees, I don't have to light them up either, and it's just annoying for the neighbors because they're looking at lit up trees.
Yeah. That's a good idea. I might actually do that as well.
So it's my tip.
Stuff to think about. Well,
Even if you have a tip there.
Yeah, I was
There
just
you go.
going to say, I want to do it different after the vacation. One of the first things is, if you don't have a tip, think of one during the episode so we can put it on the back. Well, no, but talking about 3D printers, I automated something more for my new printer, which you are the cause of. What did you buy, man?
So I was told starting a sentence with "so" every time is bad, and also to
So,
I owned, well, I still own it, an Ender V3, which is a very wonderful printer to learn 3D printing.
yeah.
It also annoyed the hell out of me. And why? Because it is maybe it is a wonderful printer to learn, but it's as soon as you are past the learning phase, it is getting annoying very quickly because it demands a lot of attention. It's not a printer where you just say, you know what, I'll just toss an STL file for everyone who is not involved in 3D printing. That is an actual 3D print design thing you want to print.
Yeah.
So the actual object. I toss that file to my printer and then it starts printing. That the Ender 3 has never done that.
Okay.
It always had something to complain. I needed to level the bed, and I needed to clean the bed, and the filament was, I don't know.
Yeah.
Then the extruder was broken. I don't know. There was always something. The thing had always something to moan about.
Is that a question of user error or user comfortability with 3D printing, or was it just the printer itself? I mean, I got a 5 Plus, so it's a different machine from yours.
It's a very different beast, definitely. The Ender 3 really is an entry-level printer, and it is a very simple printer. And if you demand, if you are requiring that it just works, then that is not the machine for you. I always say about 3D printing that it's similar to 3D printing folks are similar to car folks, right? You've got people who love a nice car. I'm one of those people, and you have people who love a nice car because of what's under the hood. I love to drive a nice car, but I don't want to maintain it because I hate dirty hands.
Yeah.
On the other hand, there are a lot of people that just love to take that whole car apart and brush and polish every single nut and bolt and a valve and sealant and whatever, and then putting it all back together again, and then making it even better and tuning it. And I seriously enjoy watching YouTube movies of people doing that. So I like, I'm watching Matt Armstrong and I'm watching Tavares and all those folks, and Jack builds it and whatever. I mean, those guys, I find it amazing that they can do that, and they actually have the patience to do it. But I'm a driver. I don't care about well, I do care about the internals, as in I want them to function properly. But if they're broken, I'm driving to a garage, hand the keys off to someone who knows what he's doing. Please fix my car. And the same thing actually goes with 3D printers. And the Ender 3 really is a printer you want to buy when you first of all want to get to know 3D printing, but also when you love tinkering with 3D printers, because there's always something that you can improve, upgrade, change, modify, make prettier, make better, make different. I don't know.
It's a starting point, not the end point.
Basically, 80% of what you print with an Ender 3 is for the Ender 3. And that is not why I got into 3D printing. I got into 3D printing thinking that I could solve all kinds of problems in my house with stuff I would 3D print. And the Ender 3 is not really suitable for that because it needs a lot of TLC. And that simply is not my cup of tea. Well, that's a long story to actually introduce what I did buy.
What did you buy?
So what did I buy? And what did you buy?
Yeah.
And what did someone else buy who was also under our influence? Not to mention that. Anyway, so as it turns out, I was actually looking at a Bambu Lab printer for quite some time. And what held me back was the amount of money I had to pay for it, which is, it's not expensive, but it's valuable. Yeah, that's a thinker.
Linus made some remarks lately on a video where stating that something can be expensive, but not too expensive, in the sense that if you get value out of it, something is worth it, and that can mean it's expensive, but if it's worth it, what's the harm in it?
Oh, that's exactly why I said value. That's exactly why I said valuable. The original list price for the device that I bought is roughly 1,100 euros, which I find is a pretty sum of money for a 3D printer, especially if you know that you can buy. Well, the Ender 3 cost me, I think, 120 euros, right?
Yeah.
Well, in the basics, and then you start buying the parts and the filament, and then pretty soon you end up with a printer that actually costs you 700 euros. Anyway, but as it turns out, Bambu Labs actually had an anniversary sale, and the printer that I would like to have, the P1S with the AMS, so the automatic material system, on top of that, was actually 870 euros. And that was just my kind of price. I don't know, not this is the moment to buy one. Yeah. So I'm very happy, very stoked that I actually bought this thing, and I've been using it like mad, basically. And I don't think, this is the first time I think it actually isn't printing anything longer than 2 hours. It's been busy ever since, and what I love about it is, I always call it the Apple experience, but that's maybe unfair. You open the box, you configure it, you remove all the transport screws, and you basically you're up and running and printing your first STL file within 30 minutes. Yeah. So maybe because I was a bit lazy and I was drinking coffee at the same time, and etc., it took me an hour. But I mean, the Ender 3 I first had to put together. This thing came completely assembled in the box. You just had to open the box, pull it out, pull the AMS out because it's transported inside of the printer. You put the glass on top, you put the AMS on top, you connect the hoses, you connect the cables, and that's it.
Yeah, it's a completely different experience. I purchased the Ender 5 Plus way back, and even though it's a great machine, you had to actually assemble a thing for the most part, if I remember correctly. And then
at least the gantry, in your case, the whole square.
And it prints good. The quality is good, and it's a large what you call it, slab,
Bed slinger.
No, the bed. Thank you.
Oh,
the bed is like 35 by 35.
Oh, right. Okay, so a large format print. But it's not a bed slinger, is it? It's an XY.
It's an XY.
CoreXY, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the bed, for those who are not familiar with it, you've basically in filament printers, you've got two models. One is where the bed actually moves back and forth, and the print head goes to the left and the right and up and down. And that's what we call, or what is called, a bed slinger, because the bed is moving,
slingering,
is being slung. I don't know if that's proper English. Anyway, and the other model is what is called a CoreXY, where the bed is just moving up and down, and the actual print head is doing the forward, backward, left, right motion.
Yep.
The advantage you have, well, at least as far as I know, the advantage with a CoreXY printer is, first of all, it's much more rigid. So it has not so much interference of vibrations and the workings of the material.
Yep.
And second, because of that, it can print a lot quicker. And the big advantage of the Bambu P1S, the ones that we bought, is that not only is it a CoreXY printer, but it is an enclosed CoreXY printer, meaning that you can now not only print in PLA filament, which is, generally what most people use, but which is fine, but it has a couple of drawbacks. It has very low temperature resistance. It's not doing very well outside. It has a lot of UV influence, etc., etc. So there are other filaments like PETG, but that's then hydrophobic. So an enclosed printer can actually print ABS. And ABS is the plastic that you actually find everywhere, in your keyboard, in your mouse, in your car, wherever. And it has a lot of advantages printing ABS because it's much more durable.
Yep.
So that's the one we bought, and I have to say, I'm insanely happy with it.
I tried
bought
hiding it from you. I didn't want to admit that I was influenced by you. I mean, so you bought it on Sunday, I think, or you ordered it on Sunday.
Saturday, I think.
Saturday, and I ordered it on, I believe, next Monday or Tuesday. So I'm not going to tell him. I'm not going to tell him. I'm really not going to tell him. I failed.
And then, unfortunately, it wasn't in stock, so you had to wait.
Yeah, that was a bit.
Yeah, it's. I find it an amazing printer. It really just works. I had very little issues. When I had issues, it usually had to do with the fact that I had a ton of old filament lying around here, specifically a lot of spindles with filament that were up to the last 10%, because the Ender 3 doesn't have a filament runout sensor, which means that when your filament is gone, so your spool is empty, the Ender 3 would just continue printing in midair.
Yep. Yeah, the 5+
and just print nothing. You could add a filament runout sensor, but then again, you can add everything to an Ender 3, and you just keep on paying for it.
Yeah. Strange thing.
You could also buy a new printer, which is what I did.
Yeah. Well, actually, I had a runout sensor on the 5+. But only when I print from SD card. When I print from the USB interface, for example, through Octoprint, then it wouldn't use the runout sensor. You could.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you could connect it to the Raspberry Pi on one of the GPIO ports, but I never got around to doing that.
That's a silly solution.
It's strange, yeah.
So because the filament sensor is connected to the board?
Yep, it's connected directly to the board. And even though the board has a USB interface, so I would assume, but I assumed incorrectly, that it also would work when I print something from a USB connection. I mean,
I would assume the same.
yeah, you just push G code to the USB port and then it prints.
Yeah.
But for some reason, a filament sensor doesn't work then. And you can mod it. There's a lot of information on the internet on how you can mod it. But yeah, then I got to mod my perfectly working Ender. I actually had a perfectly working Ender. I'm gonna say it again. I had a perfectly good working Ender.
He did, not me. He did,
and I didn't want to risk that it wouldn't print anymore at that time. Perhaps I'm now gonna do it anyway, but because I'm still printing on both.
Right.
But
so with regards to the P1S, because if you look at, there's always a balance, right? I mean, if you look at the Bambu Labs P1S reviews, generally they are all in very positive. People are enthusiastic. It's an amazing printer, yada yada yada. Then again, a lot of those people have less than 100 hours of printing done on the printer.
no.
I think in the past 2 weeks I've done more than that. But what is your opinion on the P1S?
I love it. It's like you said, it's the Apple experience. It just works. I threw a lot of STL files on it that I downloaded from Thingiverse or found them through Thanks, but also from the slicer itself, Bamboo Studio. There's a link to the Maker. What's it called? Maker Space.
Maker World.
Maker
I
World.
think
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maker World. And the interesting thing is that you can browse directly from the Bamboo Studio slicer thingy, and it downloads all the STLs directly to a specific download folder, and then you can do everything with it. And it's so convenient. Like you said, it just works. You import an STL, you do some stuff with it, and if you want multicolor, you can say, well, slice it here, and here I want to switch the color or something else. It's great. The only thing I dislike, and it's not that it's not functioning, I dislike the whole idea that it's a cloud-based solution. That when I push something, I can do locally print from studio to the printer, but it's also going through the cloud.
Basically, Bambu Labs can see what you print.
Yeah, and with different manufacturers doing different things, like we talked about Philips Hue demanding you to create a cloud account and
to switch on my lights. Why?
Yeah.
Why Philips? Or it's called Signify. Why Signify? Why?
Yeah, exactly.
Why? Talk to me, please. Why?
So, and that's actually also the reason that I use Home Assistant. I want to have the choice when I do something locally or on the cloud. So,
I think they changed that back though.
Signify.
You just need you just need to authentication, but all the operations are still local.
Well, I haven't started the app in a while, so Home Assistant does that all. Yes, I know, Home Assistant. No, but that's the only thing I dislike at the moment. Well, and actually, I dislike that it's that unbelievably easy. The printer hasn't stopped. And it's,
I know what you're saying. I've ordered my first batch of filament replenishment already.
Yeah. I got a lot of disadvantages. You start printing everything, and that also means that we talked about Gridfinity before. I printed a lot of bins and a lot of base plates, but it was going slow multiboard, and it was going slow on the end of 5 plus, and perhaps I could have tweaked it some more. But now on the Bambu Labs printer, it's just spit out bins everywhere, and that means that you got to use them, you got to put stuff in them, you got to clear out your cabins, your drawers, and more like that. So my office is a bit of a mess. That's why you can't see behind me.
But then again, I mean, it's more organized, at least inside the drawers and cupboards.
And I got some running medals there in my well lit cupboard, and I printed these things where you could, well, this big, where you could put your medal on, and now they were lying just on the shelf. You couldn't see them, and now you can. So it's yes, you have to clean everything up and you're organizing it, but you also find things. Hopefully, I will find my my video capture card again. I lost it. Oh no, I misplaced it.
It's currently like Schrodinger's cat. It may be dead and may be alive.
MIA. Now, and one thing that annoys me a bit is that it makes a lot of noise. It prints super fast, but there's a high whining, especially when you're printing fast. My wife closed all the doors between the printer and our living room because it was that hard and that loud.
Yeah, it's pretty loud. I do have to say, if you upgraded the firmware to the latest version and then completely redid the calibration,
that I did not do, the last one.
I can recommend that because the noise is a lot less.
Okay.
But you have to do the full calibration, including the engine calibration, so the motors calibration. Sorry.
So calibration.
Then the noise is less.
How do you
but
do
it's
that?
Still from the software on the device page, I think.
Okay, because I looked at the.
I'll show you afterwards. Anyway,
that would be annoying during recording.
I'm sorry?
That would be annoying during recording when I push calibrate.
Yeah, that will definitely be hearable. Yeah. What I did find after printing quite a lot, and also after printing quite a lot with filament that wasn't maybe quite up to spec, is the AMS definitely is the weak link. I think I've taken it apart 4 or 5 times now because somewhere filament got stuck, some stuff broke off, it didn't retract properly, whatever. So the AMS definitely has its challenges.
I hadn't had that yet, luckily.
Oh, I did. I already know how to take it apart. I don't need it in manual anymore.
Okay. Now
I already had stuck filament in the print head twice.
Okay.
Etc. Etc. So the AMS is on one hand insanely convenient and so nice to have, especially because you can now finally print more than one color and not do a whole magic show. But it's got its drawbacks. Also, talking about multicolor printing, something you learn quite quickly when doing multicolor prints, especially more than 2 colors, is that every time the printer switches to another filament, it poops.
Yep.
It poops a piece of filament. And this filament is not going into your project. This filament is spit out via a hole in the back of the printer, which is called the poop chute. And if you are clever like we are, then you've put a bin under it that actually catches all the filament that's pooped out. But if you have a multicolor print so more than 2 colors, and you're printing, the amount of filament that's wasted during all the filament swaps back and forth is insane.
Yep.
So you really, really, really have to pay attention. Do I really need this to be multicolor? And if so, can I turn this model around somehow so I can benefit from using a single color as long as possible?
Yeah.
Because you will pay with filament
Yeah.
for your eager to print multicolor.
Yeah, and sometimes it's easier to split the print. I mean, I haven't done it yet, but in the slicer, there's an option to slice or break up your model and put pins in it so you can put it back together. That would be a better choice than printing it all with the same color.
You can even, and I haven't done this yet because honestly, I'm a bit scared about it. But if you have multiple objects on the print bed, you can actually give them different colors and have them printed one after the other. But I'm a bit worried that when it prints one object, it just hits the other one off the plate.
Yeah.
Maybe causing all kinds of mayhem in the process. So I don't know. I'm still in the wind about that one. What I do love is the fact that because it's an enclosed printer, I can now finally print with ABS, and I can tell you, I made this little cable winder from ABS, but I also printed my wife a mouse.
Oh yeah.
That stuff's amazing. The one thing that for instance, which is exactly the reason why I wanted to get into 3D printing, I have a dust cyclone in my workshop from Dust Commander, and I ordered the wrong hose. Because I had, for the other side of the dust hose, I bought a connection kit which would fit to a 32 mil hose, and the one I bought was a 25 mil.
Yeah.
Also, the vacuum cleaner I attached to it was a bit too powerful, so there is a pressure valve in the cyclone that constantly is opening because the vacuum cleaner is too powerful and the hose is too small. So I ordered the 32 mil hose, which was delivered last week, only to discover that the adapter rings that come with the Dust Commander Cyclone do not facilitate the hose, also made by Dust Commander, of 32 mil. So I couldn't connect it to the Cyclone. So what I did was, and I'm not a real insane 3D CAD person, but I know my way around Tinkercad, which is 3D CAD designing for poor people. And I made an adapter ring. I just took my calipers, measured what I needed to know, the outside of the original adapter for the 25 mil, the outside of the 32 mil hose, which is not 32 mil. Surprise, surprise.
Obviously.
And then designed my own adapter cap, printed that, and look and behold, it was first time right. I plugged it in, put in the hose, it immediately fitted, and my problem was solved.
Oh, nice.
And that whole process took me less than an hour, including printing.
Yeah.
So that is exactly why I went into 3D printing, to solve problems that I run into like that.
Yeah.
Another example was I moved my desk around. Maybe people who have seen other episodes noticed that the background's different. Well, it's because I moved the desk around. But now my mobile air conditioning unit hose, so the air conditioning unit's hose cannot reach the window anymore because it's too short. So I went to the do-it-yourself shop over here, looked for a 10-meter hose. They didn't have one. They did have a 3-meter hose. That was not long enough. But combined with the hose that is already attached to the air conditioning unit, it is long enough. But they didn't have an interconnect part where I could tape one end of the one end of one hose and the other end of the other hose and just connect them together. So I was like, okay, you don't have that? No. Well, I'll 3D print something.
Yeah.
And again, and that's the big advantage, that you now can actually print ABS because, well, this is a thing that gets warm, so PLA would not be suitable for the job. So I designed again a cylinder in the right dimensions, printed it in ABS because of the warmth. Lo and behold, taped the hoses to it. It works. There you go.
Nice.
I now have a 7-meter hose. Thank you very much. And I can use my aircon again. Wonderful. Now, this is why I went into 3D printing, because I wanted to solve stuff like that. And that is exactly what the P1S can do for you.
Yeah. I saw a video last week of somebody in the van life. He prints everything from. He's traveling with his van, with his wife in a van.
Must be USA,
obviously. Or was it? No, it was USA. He had a nice challenge for himself. He wanted to be an inventor when he was young, and now he has his printer, and he realized that he didn't invent as much as he thought when he was younger. And to challenge himself, he took it upon himself to make an invention every day. And that's something we could do as well. Well, perhaps not every day, but once every 2 days, solve something in your house and use your 3D printer to make it happen. I'm going to talk to you offline about that because it's a nice idea.
I'm interested. I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can actually do that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe every 2 days is a bit much, but I know that. I mean, you've been at it with Gridfinity. I've been at it with Gridfinity. I now actually I wasn't showing this for nothing. I'm now going to start using multiboard on a wall here to just get the feeling of what it can do.
Yeah.
So the advantage is multiboard then again integrates with Gridfinity, so I can actually print shelves that I can stick to the multiboard, and then I can put Gridfinity bins on. Sounds like an ideal marriage.
I'm very interested in how that goes. If
I have no idea yet.
If the connection is strong enough to hold something of weight.
According to the guy who made multiboard, he states that you can hang up to 8 kilograms from a single peg.
Okay. I want empirical evidence.
I'm still on the fence about it. Let's see what will happen.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm going to try. So let's see what falls out of that tree. But I mean, these are all kinds of organization systems that not so much are an invention for us, but more easing your day-to-day life. I mean, I for sure know that my workshop in my garage can use a lot of organization because it's an insane mess in there.
Mine are super tiny.
And exactly, well, that's the phase I still need to get through. Then again, and this is wonderful about the P1S because the print speed is that quick, is that high that if you print I don't know a 2x2x6 bin, it's just done in 40 minutes or so.
Yeah, if you use the ultra light versions.
Yeah, I generally do.
Yeah, me too.
Unless it's for very small screws or something.
Yeah, I printed the one for calipers earlier today. That's a 3x6x3. It's 3 wide, 6 deep, and 3 high.
Yeah.
It took like 5.5 hours at normal, at 100% speed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
I
and
have to
me
say that I
switching
print.
filament because it ran out just like yours.
Oh yeah, I mean, I have no idea what you're talking about. It's the my wonderful bicolor
Yeah, it's branding.
and another bike because I'm seriously I've run out of filament now.
I
I still have ABS and I've got 2 spools with PLA and that's it.
okay. Well, no, I still have some PETG left. So, and smaller spools. That's also a tip just on printing. When you buy a P1S and you have smaller spindles, don't use them because they will not work in your AMS. The spindles got to be larger. Otherwise, they won't fit on the rollers that are inside the AMS.
That I didn't know.
And preferably don't use cardboard ones because
Oh,
cardboard,
I can debunk that one. Those work fine.
yeah, they work fine. They're getting dusty and the dust gets into the machine and you have to vacuum it out again. And
Well,
I don't want that.
at first they were actually halfway eaten by the AMS because of the system.
Yeah.
And you couldn't properly use cardboard spindles. Right now, I mean, I've used
Yeah, I got cardboard in as well.
they work fine now, but that's because they did a redesign of the internals of the AMS.
Yeah.
So I can definitely vouch for that. I mean, cardboard spindles work fine.
Yeah.
They may be a bit dusty indeed, but then again, I think the plastic ones are dusty as well.
Yeah. But just make sure that I'm holding my hands out. You can't see it if you're only listening. But you got to make sure that they're not too small because that they won't fit on the rollers.
Yeah, I can
I
imagine.
experienced that one. I purchased some Amazon filament, a small or eSun actually, the smaller ones, and well, I got to re-spool them if I want to use them with the AMS, and that's not something I'm looking forward
That's
to.
not fun. No, definitely not. I never did, so I didn't have that problem.
They were cheap. I'm cheap, I know.
Well, I mean, Amazon is coming tomorrow with 4 spindles of filament. So,
Okay. So
yeah.
we're already approaching 45 minutes. What are you going to print next?
Well, probably the rest part of the parts of this because I need a lot of attachments for the multiboard grid that I now printed. I've printed the stack for the very first time. I'm not sure if I'm a fan. But jury is still out on that one. Yeah. Maybe later. So I'll probably print stuff for that. And I still have a couple of draws to go with Gridfinity.
Okay.
I want to clean up my my soldering station over here because there's a lot of there are now ESP32s flying around and that's not working because they'll be damaged like that. So that sucks. So there's that. I am in the process of and maybe probably not next time, but I will be talking about that in the future. I will be building a new desk, and I will be building it. Well, partially, I will be building it myself. I will order the legs which go up, and so it will be a standing desk. I will order them as a whole, and then I will put my own tabletop on that and merge everything that is currently on here.
Yeah. Okay.
onto that. Will probably be an insane amount of work. But it should result in, first of all, a desk where I can sit and stand. Well, again, basically, because this one did that in the past, but
It's not doing it
it
anymore.
no, it broke down. It was a very 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 cheap offer from an auction at some point in time, and the lifting mechanism broke. So I can only now sit at it, which is fine, but not very not very convenient when you are working from home all day.
Yeah.
So I will probably be printing a lot for that because I'll probably need cable management stuff and maybe some drawers and I don't know.
Yeah.
So there will be that. Yeah, I think that is mostly it.
Okay.
I looked at and this is actually the photo of another YouTube guy from a 3D printing channel called The Next Layer. I do not actually know his name. I think it's called Jonathan or something. But he actually reorganized his complete kitchen.
Oh.
And I looked into my utensils drawer yesterday and I was thinking, do I really want to do that? Because that is a rabbit hole.
Yep.
I'm not sure. So the jury is still out on that one. But I may print some stuff for the kitchen and the house throughout the coming weeks. I printed a trash bin in vase mode not too long ago, and that was actually an insane success. That was very, very, very nicely done. The design was very good, so yeah, I may do a bit more of that.
Okay. Well, I got some small things left. Like I got some drawers that haven't had any Gridfinity love yet, so I need to do that.
How is that even possible?
Well, the printer was too slow. I also I'm not sure. I got a wooden plank under my monitor, and I want to print a bracket so it will stand, because now it's got one wooden leg and one plastic leg, and I'm not sure if I'm going to print another leg or that I just remove the whole plank. I saw a video the other day on clean desk, and my desk is pretty clean and pretty easy to look at. Yeah, I know yours is different. And well, I really like the natural vibe of the walnut, and it's just clean. So I'm probably going to pull that board out as well, but it gives me a lot of extra room to do something with printed stuff. I still got to print one of my lights like that with a grid. I printed a grid so I can direct the lights better. And I have to print some coasters for a friend of ours that is reaching his 50th birthday, well, in 2 days.
In 2 weeks, I think. Oh, the third. I can't. What
Anyway,
14th?
before you see the next episode or hear the next episode,
Probably, yeah.
we had the whole party. So I created some coasters with a nice text on it, if I do so say myself. It's about grumpy and sarcastic, and it totally fits him.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
So that's what I'm going to print, and everything else. I mean, there's a lot of ESP32s laying there for their new home. I printed some stuff for a camera slider, and I just got to put it together. I repurposed all the hardware from my old CNC. I think I got everything to create a camera slider that can slide and turn the camera around.
I've seen one which is actually a complete camera boom.
Yeah.
It looked amazing, but it was according to the again from the guy from the next day, it was pretty complicated to put together, and he had a lot of challenges actually sourcing all the materials.
Yeah.
So
The same goes for the camera slider as well. I ordered some parts. I hadn't had everything, like the wheels, the V wheels. And it's based on pretty standard stuff like the 2020 profile and V rollers and more stuff like that. And if you look at it, I think I spent about 125 euros, 125. And the first sliders already start at that price. So I'm not sure what the quality of those are. And I obviously purchased a bulk thing. So I got now, I believe, 50 micro switches instead of the two I needed, but for the price of, I don't know, €7.
yeah, it usually is prices like that.
I can make a lot
So
of sliders for the same
so
money.
the boom I saw actually is very nice. First of all, apparently, if you buy it commercially, they start at roughly 2,000 euros or something like that, and if you build it like he did, it's under 500.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. I may look into that, but there are a lot of buts in that print. So maybe not.
Well, if you repurpose all the hardware of your Ender 3, you got a lot of stuff you can already tinker with.
I may.
Well, with that, you got any tips? Yeah, you got a tip. You got a tip. I know you got a tip.
We already had a tip.
Yeah, that one. Just to
Yeah.
repeat it. I forgot it.
Well, Ryan back.
It was about 3D printing.
Probably.
Well, if you want to know, just rewind
back
to early in the episode. Well, I got a tip, and it's again a Dutchman from a city close by. Don't pronounce it in English. Vlachtwedde.
Oh my god.
It's great. He created a 3D printer with two sets of heads. Not only that, and with what do you call it? The stuff that you put on the printer, a portal. Thank you. It's a printer created from some kind of cooking plate that's for the heated bed, and he created two portals that can together, well, they can actually print at the same time different objects. So it's very interesting. It's a YouTube channel from, and I'm looking through my list. No, not Cardog Crew. Where is he? Proper Printing. I will link it in the video or in the show notes. It's a great look. I wish I had a beard like that.
Oh, I do have one little tip though. If you have bought a 3D printer, you probably got a little cutter like that. They generally suck.
Oh, okay.
I mean, they work for, I don't know, a year or so, and then they start falling apart, like this one. Right? So I ordered a new one from a company called Knipex on Amazon. In the insane investment of 15 euros. And it will definitely make your life happy. So don't stick around with this old fart. Buy a proper one.
Nice.
And 15 euros.
Yeah.
Really,
how can they do that? I don't want to know. Well, with that, I'm AJ.
I'm Alex.
See you next time.